Oh my God, it's Sunny Days! Sunny Days has returned!
SHW, this is our wrestling.
This is insane.
You think you could walk all over me, but I don't see that happening. We're warriors.
Are you kidding me right now? David Ali is your new Southern Honor Champion. Unbelievable. Spear to Hanson. But look, he never dropped his spear. Ooh.
You get a moonsault, and you get a moonsault, and you get a moonsault.
This crowd is going ballistic.
And now, the voices of Southern Honor Wrestling, Brandon Benefield and Gerard Bonner.
What is going on, everybody? It's B-Double, Brandon Benefield, along with GB Gerard Bonner. It's SHW. This is Our Wrestling, a very special edition as we come to you on location, as you can tell. Yeah. We are here in sunny Jacksonville, Florida, home of Daly's Place, which is home of AEW Revolution that took place on Sunday night. And
Absolutely.
GB, we had a wild weekend with SHW 25.
Yes, indeed.
And then Revolution, man. How you feeling?
Man, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired and energized at the same time. I think somebody must have upgraded our pay grade if we can be on location, huh?
You see the palm trees.
You know
in the
what I
background,
mean? Like,
the river in the background. This is beautiful. And
this is an upgrade, folks.
And not to date us, but you mentioned earlier, and we'll see if anybody else noticed. I feel like we're on location like the old episodes of Regis and Kathy Lee,
right?
When they would go down to Florida, for like Disney World or something.
It's so funny. I'm part of a great clubhouse. If you guys are on Clubhouse, look me up. But I'm on part of a great clubhouse for pro wrestling called PWA, Pro Wrestling Anonymous. Shout out to my man Justin Manning and all those cats. And it's funny because of my history with pro wrestling and the references I have, they think I'm this old guy, because I'll talk about, they'll talk about, and I'm like, but wait, you have to remember the Horsemen, you have to remember Flair, and so they're just like, so when I make the Kelly and Regis thing, I'm like, okay, are you really calling me old? I'm not old, guys.
Well, Kelly and Regis isn't as old.
That's
Regis
true.
and Kathy Lee
Regis and Kathy
is old
Lee.
school.
But see, I like the original. It's like people who love samples, and I'm like, no, let's get the okay, never mind. I'm dovetailing right now. That's not why you're here, folks. You're here for SHW, and I'm really pumped. We really did have an amazing weekend of wrestling, and I am pumped that we get to tell you guys this while we're on location. This is really fun.
This is wild, and it's a little breezy in the background, but we're right on the water here at the river in Jacksonville.
You see it behind us. It looks like we're in Hawaii or something, but we're in Jacksonville.
And my voice is barely hanging on because we called a wild night Friday night.
We did.
It was totally shot Saturday, and then on Sunday, all the hooping and hollering we were doing from the crowd at Revolution.
And the crowd was amazing. I can't wait to talk about that. That
was amazing. And I think most fans are probably aware by now. This is airing on Friday, but as we're recording this, it is the Monday after Revolution.
Yes. I'm sure you guys don't mind that, by the way.
Yeah, and as you guys know, things happened at Revolution. It got a lot of people talking. There's a lot of – the internet blew up after Revolution went off the air.
Good pun there. The internet blew up,
Or lack of blowing up.
Or lack of blow up, right.
But, and the thing is, between the time that happened and the time this is airing on Friday, there may have been a lot more said about it, a lot more happened maybe on Dynamite perhaps, or on BTE, which I'm personally looking forward to seeing if they handle it. They're going to reference it.
Yeah.
We talked about it last night when Seidel made his debut a while back, and he slipped on the ropes. Well, they went back on BTE and explained how that happened with Nakazawa oiling up the ropes. So do they explain maybe perhaps with the dud of an explosion at the end?
And it's funny, I caught video of there was an explanation, of course, by John Moxley at the end, which we may or may not reference.
It aired,
did they air
Monday
it?
morning, or this morning as we record this, AEW released it on Facebook, an exclusive, which was his speech at the end, which happened after it went off the air. Because we stuck around in the crowd.
We did,
and he made the crowd laugh because
he did.
He blamed Kenny Omega, who claimed to build the ring.
There's brilliance in that, and again, I'm trying to save my commentary for that. But so let's do that. But let's get into Friday though.
Before that, let's go back to SHW 25. I mean, it's just such a wild weekend. It's like,
holy cow!
Remember how it started? SHW 25.
That is how it started.
Absolutely insane, and of course. We don't need to run down the entire card, but definitely touch on some of the big moments here.
For sure. And there were several.
Oh, there were several. I mean, first of all, the night started out with Technical Excellence taking on the returning Washington Bullets.
Yes.
And basically a technical masterpiece, as it were. And it was great. I mean, and the crowd was so hot.
Yeah.
It may not have been number-wise one of our biggest crowds ever, but it had me fooled because of how loud and how hyped they were all night.
And there was a significant number there as well. I think sometimes people still forget, there is a pandemic going on in the world. And so shout out to every wrestling fan who attends our SHW events, or quite frankly, wrestling events anywhere where they're allowing fans. There's a lot to be said for that. The wrestlers and the fans and commentators and everybody put themselves on the line for your entertainment. So we hope you enjoy that. But, yeah, you guys were amazing. Everybody talked about the crowd at SHW 25 because you guys were on fire. And I don't know if you realize that, but when the crowd is on fire, everybody gets amped up. The wrestlers get amped up. We get amped up. Everybody. And so I think you guys helped to set the tone for the night, as did Technical Excellence and, of course, the Washington Bullets. A fantastic match. And I think we're going to be talking about that one for a while. It was a great match.
That was awesome. Of course, we went right into Ashton Starr, Owen Knight, which we knew that was going to be great. Those guys,
stealer, folks.
Yeah, those guys have been around since day one at SHW. And speaking of which, we have a new show. Is it SHW Since Day One, I think is what it's called?
Yes.
Hosted by our very own Susie, right?
Yes. The promo for it came out, of course, at SHW.
And I think it actually premiered this week.
It did. It premiered yesterday. So you guys go check it out on YouTube.
The Kind Punk, I believe.
Listen, and we had Kind Punk on the show 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, Nathan Mowry.
And Nathan Mowry, he shot it, and interviews with Michaela and several of the best of SHW. Danny Jordan's on episode 1, so you guys go and check it out. And the real mean girl lives up to her name.
I just hope, I can't wait to watch it because I haven't seen it yet. But hopefully she doesn't treat Michaela the way she used to treat me when we would do interviews.
You're a different case. People treat us, they don't. Only Ashton wants to mess with her. But that's,
I have a face only a mother could love. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying people love to mess with us, as has been proven in previous SHW events.
Very true. Very true. Man, this wind, I'm telling you, we're right on the water, folks, so bear with us.
It's beautiful.
But it's weather
That's
out
why
here.
we're all wrapped up,
right.
folks.
But it's blue skies, sunny weather. It's beautiful out here.
Yeah.
Man, this is unbelievable. But moving back to the show, of course, we had newcomer CT Keys coming and taking on Gunnar Miller, which he impressed. He impressed a lot of people.
CT Keys, incredibly impressive. I hope we get to see more of him. But as great as he was, the real story which we saw in that was, has Gunnar Miller officially joined Lethal Poison? We saw at the end of that match, and again, you'll be able to watch it all on IWTV, so I don't want to give everything away, but there was an interesting exchange between Gunnar Miller and Lethal Poison at the end of that match, which had us all thinking perhaps the unthinkable and perhaps the inevitable. Has Gunnar Miller joined Lethal Poison?
There was a handshake, a hug,
and
then a fist bump.
Yes.
I'm like, what is happening here?
Listen, in these pandemic streets, you don't handshake, hug, and fist bump anybody you don't want to contact.
Right, exactly.
So, leave it to me. I think he's a part of Lethal Poison, and that's a problem.
So Gunnar got the win. He ended up, having a little exchange with Lethal Poison on stage.
Yeah.
That led right into our tag championship match with Lethal Poison. I think kind of a shock to a lot of people, although with the damage that they've been doing over the last several months, not necessarily a shock to me, and I don't think a shock to you either.
No, I boldly came on this show and predicted that Lethal Poison, one way or the other, was going to win the tag team championships. Not that I'm a huge fan of theirs, but momentum was on their side. They really had been cohesive, and now you could really argue the point. Remember last month that the former champions now, the Lynch Mob, were not able to be there because they got attacked in the parking lot, and that mysterious figure looked like it could have been Gunnar Miller.
Well, so Gunnar was
possibly
there, and he was supposedly the one that found Matt in the
found them.
So then it all kind of started to make a little sense. Like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Is there something going on with him and Lethal Poison? Was he, he claimed to find him in the parking lot. Was he the one that did the damage in the parking lot?
And could this be a giant diabolical plot cooked up by Corey Hollis to ensure that Lethal Poison gets their hands on all of the SHW gold?
Yeah.
Interesting question.
And we'll get to it in a second, but we found out that Gunnar Miller's going to get the title shot at next month's show. So
Which I just think is so interesting.
So that would put, if he is indeed a third member of Lethal Poison now, he would have the title and they would have the tag titles.
Yeah.
And they would just be running roughshod all over
Roughshod.
SHW
I mean-
as if they weren't already.
And I don't know what's better. Is it better to have this kooky, crazy savior running over SHW, or is it better to have Lethal Poison running over SHW? I don't know.
That's a lose-lose. I mean, I can't
Yeah.
pick.
I
Can't
mean-
between if those are my two options, then
right.
no thanks.
Exactly.
Oh my goodness! So Lynch Mob. It was finally good to see them back in action.
was.
They've been off for a few months.
Yeah.
and
they looked great.
They looked great. We wondered would there be a little ring rust?
Right.
But they looked like they'd been well rested.
Yes.
They came out on fire and just and surprisingly couldn't get it done. And Lethal Poison came away with the victory there. But
absolutely.
speaking of tag matches, we had a massive 8-man tag team match where we saw the Honor Society, including Logan Chase.
Yes.
And also honorary member for the night, Bryce Cannon.
Yes.
The millennial millionaire, if you will, taking on the crazy, unlikely foursome of Huck and Hansen, the All-Star Special, teaming with the SHW debuting Good Old Boys.
Yeah.
What in the world? That crowd, if they weren't hot enough already,
Right.
the roof came off the place when they came out.
We literally put gas on the fire when those guys came out. And so I think we're starting to see now that whenever All-Star Special makes an appearance, which, by the way, it's so cold out here, I wore all these layers, but my intent was to...
Oh, here we go. Let's switch camera angles here.
Let's see here. I'm not sure.
There it is.
But there it is. I have my All-Star Special shirt. This is what I was going to wear before it was so cold.
He's jumped on the wagon, folks.
I have jumped on the wagon. I absolutely have.
I told you there was plenty of room, so come on board, buddy.
Yeah, it's a growing wagon, folks. It's a growing wagon. But, the thing that they have – I'm still shocked. As crazy of a year as 2020 was, 2021 is crazier because if you had told me that the most hated man in SHW last year, which was William Huckabee, would be among the most loved and directing and literally turning the SHW faithful into the SHW flash mob, I would have never believed you.
It was the SHW Children's Choir.
I mean, really, it was unbelievable. Bray Wyatt couldn't do that, for crying out loud. So it's amazing to watch. And so, honest to God, SHW is becoming a place where sometimes the entrance is worth the price of admission all by itself.
Yeah.
Because it was, and again I say, we understand that times are really hard in this country and in this world. And so to be able to get away and have a moment like what All-Star Special and the Good Old Boys provided us, it's special, and it just reminds us the power of community and togetherness, and to think that that's what happens at a wrestling event, particularly at SHW. So really, all the more reason why you can't miss SHW 26, because if the All-Star Special is there, we're going to have a party.
I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
We always say that at the end of every show. We're like, it was so good, but I can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, and I don't know how they top themselves every month, but trust me when I tell you, I'm sure that when you see it on IWTV, it's going to do it justice, but there's nothing like actually being there.
Yeah.
And, even going back and watching what they did at SHW 24, it was just like, holy cow, what a moment.
Right.
So, these guys sung to the top of their lungs, and it was great. And how about the Good Old Boys? I did not – it's my first time seeing them.
So they are legends in Canton specifically. Not only just in Georgia on the indie scene, but just in Canton for years. Yeah. And again, I had heard of them, but had never seen them. But you're right, man. The Canton crowd showed them the love, and it was crazy.
It was nuts. So I can't even put words behind it. SHW 25 on IWTV. You got to watch that because it's worth the price of admission.
And we figured out, too, that so last month it was Sweet Caroline, right?
Yes.
And we didn't know, okay, so is that their entrance music? Like, that's kind of an odd choice, but the crowd loved it. The crowd sang along.
Yes.
So you realize at the beginning of the entrance video, they dropped the quarter in the jukebox. Mm-hmm. So apparently,
that's the thing. We don't know what's coming out of the jukebox.
It's their jukebox favorite songs, sing-alongs.
It is.
And so this month it was Friends in Low Places, and the entire crowd, building up to the chorus. You even asked me, you're not going to sing along? I was like, I'll wait till the chorus. I know the chorus.
Well, look, I will admit in full disclosure, I'm listening to the song. I'm like, I don't know. Yeek. You know, and then when it got
But
to the chorus, I'm
but
like,
the Canton
oh, yeah.
crowd knew it.
Oh, they listen. Nobody's listening for me to sing anyway, so they were singing. That's all that mattered, and I just was like, oh, great.
Speaking of you singing,
Yes.
and we'll get to this later,
Yes.
but we had a Judas sing-along
We
at,
did have a
at
Judas
Revolution last
sing-along.
night, and it was awesome. But we'll get to that in a minute. I happened to see it on Instagram this morning. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was so dead tired when we got home.
my gosh.
I just went to bed, but
Ugh.
this morning I saw all the videos that got posted from last night. And I was
it's
like,
crazy.
It's like, man, we're just wailing away there on Judas. But
listen.
you'll see that in a
You'll
little
see
bit.
that, yes.
But so after that 8-man tag match, let's see, we had another newcomer, Snoop Strikes, come to town,
Oh, yes.
and he took on the loudest mouth in the South, AC Mack.
Another great match.
What an
Oh,
awesome
my
match.
Gosh,
Yeah.
these guys really turned it on. And our first time seeing Snoop Strikes again in an SHW ring, and he was fantastic. You know, what I'm loving more and more about the newcomers that show up to SHW is they all understand that this is the pinnacle in independent wrestling. So you've got to bring your A game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not everybody can show up to SHW. You know, we're in a space that's slightly elite, and, you know, we could call ourselves the elite in independent pro wrestling, and that's proven by the people who find their way here, and Snoop Strikes absolutely proved that. But with that said, AC Mack was just that much better. And I got to tell you, the battles for who's going to be number one contender in the SHW championship picture gets more and more convoluted with all of these amazing folks staking their claim with these big wins, such as AC Mack.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could just – there's so much talent. It's
There
just
is.
so hard to pick.
There
and,
is.
and speaking of, you know, we talked about this being a hoss fight the other night. We had Towers, 7-foot Towers, Austin Towers taking on the returning Ben Buchanan coming to town. Bam Bam Buchanan, as he's going by.
Buchanan.
And, I mean, legit hoss fight. These guys, I'm glad the ring held up.
I am too.
Because they actually, after that match, and then also after the time when Huck and Cyrus were going toe-to-toe in that 8-man tag, I just wondered how much the ring was going to be able to take.
Right.
But, man, Towers and Buchanan put on an amazing match.
Did.
And I believe that was that rubber match. But I still don't think that feud's over yet.
No.
Because afterwards, talk about who showed up at the end there.
That's
The
right.
attack on Ben after the match, and then what happened?
Ben was attacked after the match, and then, you know what, there's nothing like a father's love, right? And so his daddy, Bull Buchanan, WWE legend, found his way to the ring.
That's awesome.
In street clothes. And the funny part is, when I initially saw him, I'm like, who is that? And then when I saw him get to work, I was like, oh, there you are. So it was amazing. And now there was another thing, though, that I don't know if people caught, and you'll go back and watch this. It looked like Ben Buchanan didn't want his father's help.
Yeah.
You know, his dad was trying to help him out of the ring, and he kind of shoved him off like, no, I got this. So,
But they worked together with the double clothesline over the top
Well,
rope.
they did,
But then,
for
like,
sure.
and what happened was, let me just back up.
Yeah.
Let me just
What
back up.
happened
And you'll
was-
see this on IWTV.
Absolutely.
But during the course of the match, he tweaked his knee. Buchanan
He did.
And
He
I
did.
believe that was kind of the downfall at that point.
It was.
Had he not
That's
had the
where the
injured
match
knee,
turned around, for sure.
I think he could have possibly won the match. And
Absolutely.
so afterwards, he was still on a bad wheel there.
Yes.
And that's when, outside the ring, you were right.
Yeah.
Bull was trying to help him.
Yeah.
And I think it was more of a pride thing. I don't think it was any kind of
Sure.
animosity towards his
No,
dad. I think it was
no.
more of a, let me just walk out on my own. Let me
I
be a
get it.
man.
Absolutely.
Let me do this on my own.
And I think it's a tough moment for Ben Buchanan. I think here's a guy who, obviously appreciates the doors that his father's name has opened for him.
Yeah.
But like any son, you want to walk on your own 2 feet. And I think he wants to be able to do that. The question's going to be going forward, will Bull Buchanan still be that present in his in-ring career, or will Ben have to actually make his own break?
Yeah.
And we see that a lot with second-generation superstars. So this is going to be interesting to see if there's a development there, or if they're able to just work this out and he's able to move forward.
And I think he will be able to break out on his own just fine, because like we said before, he's got all the makings of a
Absolutely.
superstar. He's got just a blue chipper. Like all
He
he's
is.
he's just awesome. He's got the build. He's got the make.
Yeah.
He's got the attitude.
I'm
got the
just
persona.
glad we're able to see him now in these formative years.
You're right, and it may not be much longer.
It may not.
So
It may not.
next thing you know, we might be seeing him on TV.
Absolutely.
And going, hey, remember when? Remember
guy.
Remember when he?
It's not like we haven't seen it happen before.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Sean Dean, the captain.
the captain, Lee
Yeah.
Johnson, Alan
Yeah,
Angels.
absolutely. Run down the list. Absolutely.
Austin Theory. I mean, we
Yeah.
could go on and on.
That's right.
But it's awesome. Danny
Yeah.
J.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's right. You're right.
Speaking of, Lee Johnson, I mentioned him a second ago. We saw a brief teaser video, I guess you call it. It was at the end of the Snoop video, or the end of the Snoop match with AC Mack.
Yes.
And it looked like it was directed at AC Mack. And Mack had this look on his face.
Right.
As if like, what was that all about? Because it basically what it was, there was nothing said in the video.
Nothing.
It was just a teaser of Lee Johnson kind of pointing like, I'm coming.
Right.
And who was he coming for? Is he coming for Mack? Mack kind of took it that way.
Yeah, it seems like that, and we know there's a rich history.
The former New Era brothers.
Absolutely, between AC Mack and Lee Johnson. So, absolute interesting story developing. Stay tuned for that.
Oh, and that's going to be awesome because, of course, we found out he's part of the Nightmare family, and he got officially signed to AEW not too long ago. And if he is indeed coming back to SHW, that's awesome. And we've missed him a lot. You know, I mean, there was a time I think pre-pandemic where he was supposed, or maybe he did show up.
Yes, he
and
did.
Then he was supposed to show up after the pandemic. You know, once we started the shows back up in August. Maybe Rumblejack. I think he was perhaps going to be in the Rumblejack. We thought, and then it didn't happen.
Right.
And so if he is coming back, we are super pumped to see him. But
absolutely,
if all those matches weren't enough. That brought us up to the main event of the evening, the first ever in SHW first blood match between Sunny Days and the champion, our savior, David Ali, defending the title in this crazy first blood match, man. Well, and we'll get to it, but this guy over here had a little part to play in this match, which threw all of us off. You just disappeared from the table at one point. What's going on here? Hey, what is going on here?
Well, you know something? I asked the same thing last month when, we were just trying to do our jobs, and the champion just breaks in, and he's trying to force Diana to say his phrase, and, then he tried to forcefully have me say his name. And the crazy part is this. David Ali has taken all sorts of liberties with both of us over time. He's punched you, when you were trying to give him some shine while he was defending the title in another promotion. Geesh, you would at least figure if we're not home, we'll be all right. But, I just say this. I am glad that the monster has friends in not so low places. And it was a really cool honor to be able to assist him in providing damage to David Ali, who deserves it. And anytime David Ali can get beat down, I am here for it. And it was a crazy match.
Yeah.
It was a crazy match and a very controversial ending as well.
Yeah, and, it even got posted online on the SHW social media later.
Yes.
That I believe there's going to be an investigation into David Weekley, our official for the match.
There should be.
Because there's a boat.
Well,
we're recording.
No,
we're recording,
I
folks.
hope it's not Ali trying to show up.
He heard you. He
heard me.
Everywhere.
He's in,
I don't know if it picked up on the mics, but there's a big boat horn that was going on behind us. So in case you're wondering what I'm doing.
It might be him saying, hey, But, very controversial ending to the match. Again, you'll be able to see it on IWTV. But, the referee was virtually invisible the entire match. And Gary had put out an edict, had a big announcement before this that this first blood match was not just going to be a little nick.
It was going to be very reliant on the referee's discretion.
It was, to be able to see a significant amount of blood.
Right.
And so conveniently, Weekley is gone the whole match.
Well, he got laid out, to his defense. He got laid out at the very beginning. However, that didn't explain that when he got back in the ring, when he finally came to, that all of a sudden, the first thing he sees is like, oh, ring the bell.
I'm telling you, I think, and listen.
Meanwhile, Ali's out on the floor bleeding.
I like Weekley, right? He's the referee of the year.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's a good dude, but this was an awkward situation.
But here's what I'm saying. David Ali has had a lot of influence over a lot of people. He took a 7-foot monster who debuted in the Rumblejack that we were super high on and turned him around to influence him, to partner with him to win and keep his championship, right? He's influencing all kinds of people. And so would it not be like David Ali to have gotten to the referee and to lay him out, and all of a sudden when the referee gets up, he sees the light.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden now, and he didn't even question that David Ali was bleeding more than Sunny Days. So I have questions, and Gary and I actually agree on this one. because there should be some sort of investigation done. And I'm not going to say what should happen because I don't know, but somebody's got to get down to the bottom of this. And I think at the bottom, you're going to see David Ali somehow influencing David Weekley.
Yeah. It was just, not every show is going to end on a high note. We know that. And this one was one of those where it definitely did not. Earlier in the night, because Logan Creed had been banned from the building.
Yes.
And it wasn't more such a ban where he just wasn't allowed to be there because of the injury.
Towers was thrown out.
Well, that's what I was getting to. So earlier in the night, because of that, Gary said, well, you know what? If he's gone, then that means Towers, after your match, you're banned. You got to go home. You're out of the building.
Yeah.
Not even banned from ringside, but out of the building.
Out of here.
So match ends. Sonny's getting jumped after the match, as per usual, as far as the Savior goes. You won the match. The match is over.
Right.
Just be done with it.
Right.
They proceed to beat on Sonny a little more.
Yeah.
And then you get excited because you hear Logan's music hit, and you're like,
yes.
Oh, the heathen's here.
He's here.
But guess who comes out?
Towers. Another heathen.
Yeah.
Austin Towers.
Towers comes out. They lay the beat down, and that was how we went off the air.
And shout out to you, sir, because he wants to put the shine on me, but you guys have to see how the show ended.
Well,
somebody had some liquid courage, I guess, and stood up.
Said, don't tell him I was drinking during the show.
No.
That's not true.
He didn't have liquid courage. He did get some courage though, and he stood up and he was just not going to let Ali and Towers. But Towers,
If you saw last show and if you heard last show, you saw what happened. There was a little we don't usually get in. There's no beef between us typically.
We're good.
But when that happened at the last show.
But see, that's what Ali does, though.
Yeah.
And that's what I think he did to Weekley.
He splits people up.
That's what he does.
Makes people.
Divides and conquers.
Yeah.
And I think he's doing that with David Weekley. That's what I think is happening. And so, I just hope that Weekley figures it out. But thank you, sir, for deciding, hey, you were gonna, and you put yourself on the line.
It was more so. I think it was more so. Okay, am I super angry at David Ali, or do I not want GB mad at me again?
Well, I think
I was like, okay,
that's hilarious.
We're not going through that again.
We're not doing that.
I'll
again.
stand up this time.
Yes.
Although, and then I turned around and I did not realize.
Oh my gosh.
So Towers had Big Red, the barbed wire baseball bat, and I'm focused over here on Ali, and I turned around and he's pointing the bat like this, but it's like right here, and I didn't realize it. And I went like,
yeah.
Well, it took an eye out there, but it was insane. So
it was insane.
If you haven't seen it, and it may not be up yet, I'm not sure as we record this when it'll be up on IWTV, but be sure to check it out as soon as it pops up. You'll know because we'll post it on social media when it's available on IWTV, but it's going to be awesome to go back and watch it because it was awesome to be there live.
It was. It was a special night, and SHW somehow keeps getting better, and I don't know how we do it. But
it's a credit to the folks in the back and of course the
amazing talent in
men
the
and
ring.
women in the ring too.
Absolutely.
So just absolutely awesome show. And April 2nd is going to be SHW 26, which is going to be not only a Good Friday in general, but a Good Friday for SHW.
That's right.
And it's going to be awesome. So of course from there. We go to sleep, get up, head down to Jacksonville.
Yes.
With no voice. It kind of came back a little bit Sunday at the show. At AEW Dynamite or Revolution.
Yes.
And of course, then I lost it again, as you can tell.
Yeah.
But I'm making our way through the podcast here.
You're doing just fine.
Then I'll have a week of just no talking to rest up. But man, let's talk about Revolution a little bit. Of course, we're not going to go through the entire card like we just did for SHW 25.
Sure.
But this was so I had come down early in January for a Dynamite. It happened to be the Brody Lee tribute show.
Yeah.
And so that was my one time I had been down here. So I had at least experienced what the atmosphere was like.
Right.
Diana had been down for a Dynamite in the past.
Yes.
Of course, you see some of the videos we're going to show you here in a second.
Yeah.
Diana was with us. She had to head on home, but so she's not with us right now. But
love you.
That's right. And it was just such a fun night. But what I was getting at is this was your first experience.
Yes.
Being at Daly's Place, being at an AEW event.
Absolutely.
Your take.
It was amazing. It really, really was amazing. And I think I was most interested in seeing how a company like AEW would handle events in this, in this new state of the world.
Yeah.
And
how'd you feel? What did you think about that?
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
I really thought it was amazing. Everybody who came in had their temperature taken. But perhaps most importantly, everybody was forced. I shouldn't say forced, but you had to wear a mask.
Yeah.
You had to wear a mask. And I will say the reasonings for them doing it, I think, were so important because of the nature of who AEW is, because they are seen globally. It is important. And they had an incredible amount of fans there.
Yeah.
I think this may have been their biggest show in terms of attendance since this whole pandemic started, because it looked like it was normally they go about 10% or maybe even 15% capacity. They were at least 25%.
Yeah.
And maybe
we haven't
to
seen the
30%.
number, but
yeah,
we
haven't seen the number, but
just guessing.
Just looking at it,
Yeah.
for one, they had, and I think it's important to tell some of these details.
Yeah.
They had, where normally they would have like you in specific pods, right?
Right.
What they did this time was they did not fill every row intentionally, but they also separated a row.
Yeah, every other row.
Every other row, which I thought was important. They opened up some sections that they don't normally have open either.
Yeah.
So, and it felt really good to be around wrestling fans again in a large environment like that. And so what it made me feel like is pro wrestling as we know it, and I know a lot of people have, seen some of the other major shows where they either don't have an audience yet or have a very sparse audience, but to see a larger audience like this, it makes me feel like, at least in the U.S., for major companies like AEW, WWE, Impact, and these other folks, that we're going to see fans back in arenas really, really soon. And my suggestion to everybody, I know everybody's got different takes on the whole thing, but I like being with other wrestling fans.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's worth wearing a mask or doing whatever they ask you to do to be able to be reconnected, because to have moments like Judas and all of the other moments that, you get to experience with what organic wrestling fans can do, like we see at SHW, to see it in a spot like Daly's Place, it felt special. It felt really good.
The fans are such a huge part of pro wrestling.
They are.
I say more so than any other professional sport.
I agree.
Professional wrestling needs that live audience.
I agree.
And that's why I love that SHW has come back and
Yes.
we're doing what we're doing, and the fact that AEW is doing it the way they're doing it.
Yes.
I absolutely am all for it.
Yeah.
The crowd last night was super hype. You talked about SHW 25, they were hype.
Yes.
And they were so loud last night, or Sunday night at Revolution,
Yeah.
and it was just unbelievable. And that's what, real quick, you mentioned Daly's Place. You kind of
Yes.
pointed in that direction. There it is right there.
There it
If you look,
is.
there's the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium.
Yeah,
And
TIAA Bank Field.
That's right. And then right there is Daly's Place. So
There it is.
we're just across the river here from it.
Yeah.
And man, just what a night. And you mentioned Judas there a second. Actually, let's take a look at some footage. This is us being giddy and getting excited, like right before 8 o'clock, right before the show officially started, and then it's going to go right into the Judas sing along, because that was that first match.
Absolutely.
That GB, you can hear the lovely soothing sounds of GB
Oh,
and
Lord.
B Double and Diana Michelle.
Yes.
Take a look at this.
What's up, everybody? We are just minutes away from going live. AEW Revolution here at Daly's Place, Jacksonville, Florida. GB,
Listen,
Diana Michelle.
we are super pumped. This is an incredible show already, and OMG, there's gonna be an exploding death bomb match. Oh my God!
A what? A what?
It's gonna be
An
crazy.
exploding death bomb match? What?
Barbed wires. Sting's gonna be in action.
Yes!
It's gonna be insane. Oh, I can't wait. You guys.
If you can't tell, B-Dub is a wee bit excited, just a little bit.
A little bit. Oh, now let me flip it around here so you guys can see. How do I
Can you
flip?
flip it? I
Here's where we're sitting. That's how good we are right there.
Can you tell? Can you tell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how good these seats are. It's gonna be awesome. Woo!
So there you go.
Yeah. I hope he focused on Diana.
Right.
Yeah.
But, man, what a fun night that was.
fun. That's fun.
And it just an amazing, incredible show. So many good matches.
Yes.
Not enough time to go down the entire card. But,
Right.
I mean, touch
Great
on the
moments.
return of Sting.
Yes.
And, yeah, it was a cinematic match. But, he had said that when he came back, that he
Yeah.
was going to focus on cinematic matches.
Yeah.
I think what kind of fooled people was that he took a power bomb on Dynamite.
Sure.
He got physical on Dynamite, and
Sure.
people in their head are thinking, oh, he's going to have a live match right there on the pay-per-view. But
Yeah.
they did it the cinematic style, which
Yeah.
I still thought looked awesome.
It did look incredible.
And now we saw from our vantage point, we saw Taz join the commentary table.
Yes.
At first we weren't sure, is this going to be a match that they have commentary, or are you going to
Yes.
hear the fans?
Yes.
We didn't know, but then when we saw Taz join commentary, we're like,
Yeah.
well, I guess they're going to have commentary.
There was definitely commentary.
So
on
we
that.
have not seen it
Yeah.
with the commentary. We just saw it live on the screens while we were in the building. But from what we saw, it looked great. I don't know how it sounded.
Yeah.
We'll find out from you guys.
I will say that from those who I know have seen it with commentary, cinematic matches in general, I don't think need commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I think, again, if you're watching a live action sequence in a movie,
Yeah.
there is no commentary.
Right.
So I think that's one of those moments where you let that live. But with that said, I also think this is the first time that we got to see a street fight actually as a street fight. You know what I
Right.
mean? Elements in the ring, but elements out of the ring as well. And I think, again, the cinematic match in general is one of those things that when it's done and done well, it's special.
And it
I
looked-
think this was
Yeah.
one of those special ones that we'll be talking about. I know a lot of people talk about the Boneyard match and some of the original Matt Hardy matches. This has to be up there amongst the best cinematic matches of all time. And I don't think that that's a living in the moment type of thing. I think
Yeah.
it offered so many different things, the way it was shot, the way it was presented. I thought it was great. And again, it told a great story, which is what we do here in pro wrestling. So
Yeah.
shout out to AEW and all of the amazing people involved in the editing and production. Shout out to you. You know who you are.
They know who they are.
They know who they are. And so I'm excited. I thought it was a great way to present Sting. And it's something, honestly, Sting has wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he got the opportunity.
That's what I'm happiest about for him, is because he's getting to go out the way he wants to go out.
Absolutely.
The way it ended with, in the ring, he got the injury back
Yes.
in 15.
Yes.
And,
Yes. And listen,
it just didn't
everybody-
end the way he wanted.
Everybody
Now-
deserves
yeah.
to go out on their own terms.
Yeah.
Especially when you've had a career like Sting. So if these are the kinds of matches that he wants to do, he deserves the right to do it. And he looked great.
Yeah.
He looked great.
Yeah.
So I'm for it.
Yeah, he looked awesome. And speaking of going out on your own terms, I assume that's the idea behind this. The new signee last night is Christian Cage, who is now signed, and I guess he didn't go out the way he wanted to prior, and so now
Sure.
he's showing up and he's got a new chapter in his story here.
I said this to you at Revolution. I'm going to say this
Yeah.
publicly. I feel like Christian's best days are always outside of Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah.
They always were. You look at what he did in Impact, becoming a multiple-time world champion and really getting the kind of run he deserved. And I think in All Elite, and I'm going to say this, I think one of the things, because we've seen a lot of big signings lately in All Elite. Paul White,
Big,
Christian,
literally big.
literally big. Where I think people make a mistake is this. Those guys don't just have in-ring things to offer. They have the ability to offer a lot to this talent outside of the ring as well.
Right.
And so I think, again, when you have that influence, like a Sting, like, a Dustin Rhodes and those folks who bring in years of experience, and they know they're going to be passing the business on, right?
Yeah.
They're not necessarily saying, hey, put me in the title hunt, but they're saying, let me be in an environment where my talents can be best used because I still feel like I have something left to contribute. And I think everybody deserves that. On your job, don't let them put you out to pasture if you still think you have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Go ahead and find somewhere that's going to do that. And so I'm excited. It shocked the world, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
Because we had just seen Christian on WWE television.
And there was rumors with Edge coming back. There's
Yes.
rumors that he looked great at the Rumble.
Yes.
So Christian made a surprise appearance at the Rumble, and he looked
Yeah.
great. And everybody's like, "Wow, he still got it."
Right.
And now that with Edge being back,
It made
could we
sense.
see Edge and Christian get back together at some
It
point?
made
And will they have
sense.
another run? So
Yeah.
there was a lot of ideas of him
Yeah.
coming back to WWE and,
Yeah.
and coming back on full time perhaps.
Yeah.
And then for the shock that happened the other night, and basically he
Shock
just
and
there was a podium set up. I think they
Right.
planned on having it up at the stage. Well, he
Yeah.
just took it, walked down to the ring, signed it,
Yeah.
left it in the ring, walked back out. No words were needed. It was just a matter of like, whoa.
Man.
Wow, how about that? So,
man, that's a whole nother podcast. Because,
There were so many great matches, and we're running low on time here, but there were so many great matches to get to. If you didn't see Revolution, I'm sure you probably saw Dynamite this past week where they touched on the whole show.
Sure.
So we don't need to go through the whole thing. But let's get to the main event real quick. I mean,
Yeah.
what an absolute spectacle it was. Now, I know, unfortunately, as you said the other night, that, unfortunately, people most of the time remember the ending.
Yeah, it's like music,
The whole match could have been amazing, but they're going to remember the ending. And the match was quite a spectacle. It was something we thought was pretty special, something
Yes.
we never have seen before in person. It was like, what are we watching? This
Yes.
is insane.
Yes.
And then the ending was what it was. You've heard about it by now. If
Yeah.
you haven't, it's all over the
It was
internet.
everywhere. It was everywhere.
But
Well,
before that, it was great.
It was great, and I thought, at one point, I thought maybe we were going to go off the air without everything blowing up, right? Like maybe it didn't have to happen because the match ended in time, and okay, so we're good, But it didn't go down that way, and I have to say this, my hope. Let me just say it. My hope is that as wrestling fans, wrestling insiders, wrestling whatever, but all of us are fans.
Yeah.
That we can just be fans, and sometimes we get so caught up in the minutia of things, and we get caught up in, oh, they didn't do this right, I knew there was a sloppy spot. No, enjoy it for what it is, and understand that these are human beings.
Yeah.
Right? Human beings like you and I make mistakes. We don't always get it right, and the best laid plans don't always happen like that, Sometimes mistakes happen, sometimes things don't go according to plan. And it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
AEW is still a great promotion. It was still an amazing show. And the end of the match and the end of the pay-per-view, okay, I don't think it's fair to let one moment destroy 3.5 hours of incredible presentation. So
Right.
I just hope that we can all do better in not just trying to completely destroy something. Because here's the deal. You and I are going to make a mistake at some point.
Yeah.
And we're going to make it in the middle of something that we planned, and we just knew, okay, this is going to be the end, and it's just going to go great. And then it may not. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. It's okay. And here's why it's okay. Because everybody tuned into Dynamite, and we're going to go back and check out the next pay-per-view, and we're going to we're going to do that. We're going to watch it because we love the product. So give them the opportunity, and remember, they're barely 2 years old.
Yeah.
Like, everybody deserves to make a
People
mistake.
forget about that.
They forget.
Because we said
they're
back,
so good.
we said the other night, I was like, they're 2 years old.
2 years old.
Just
Just turned 2.
Come on. Like, give
Double
them-
or Nothing will be their official 2 year. Like, come on, guys.
So, anyways, we had an amazing time.
We did.
It ended the way it ended, and that's what unfortunately took all the headlines. But it was an amazing show, and I just loved it. There was amazing. The ladder match was great. The tag team championship match to start the show was amazing.
Yes.
The women's championship match was
Yes.
amazing. I mean, there were so many matches that just we could go on and on. But of course, we're running low on time here. But I will say this was an amazing road trip for us because we got to meet up with our SHW family.
Yes.
Before the show, we had dinner with Nathan and Susie and Garrett and all those guys. And then, of course, at the show, we saw Dylan and Garrett. We hung out with those guys. And it was just such an amazing time. And it was cool to see Dylan kind of in his element because, he was there in a working capacity. Our buddy Robert, who we haven't seen him in a while, but he used to help us shoot the SHW shows. He was there running around with his camera because he was there in a working capacity. So it was really neat to see those guys in their element, doing their thing. And it was just an amazing time. So they actually announced the date for their next pay-per-view. It's in May, and we were thinking, I don't know, should we start saving up? Maybe we come and do this again because it was such an awesome time.
It's
so
a thing.
Maybe we do this again, and maybe we come back and we do another on-location episode of this podcast.
I'm for it.
And look, we've gone so long that the shade has now covered us from the building next to us.
It suddenly
here.
looks like it's nighttime.
Right.
It's pretty amazing.
It's still,
It's still sunny, but all good. We need lighting. No, I'm teasing.
it's all good.
Teasing.
It's all good. Yeah, where is it? What kind of dog and pony show is this? Jeez.
See what I mean?
Anyways, well, this has been so much fun, and
This has
I'm
been.
glad we got to do this. And hope to do it again on location. But
Absolutely.
we will return to our regularly scheduled Zoom podcast in the near future, I guess starting next week. So
Next week.
we will see you soon. Of course, don't forget April 2nd will be SHW 26.
Yeah, make plans now.
Yes, definitely
Plans
join us for
now.
that.
Yeah.
Of course, the championship match has already been announced. It's going to be Gunnar taking on David Ali. And we also heard, talking about hoss fights, we heard that it's going to be Towers taking on Logan Creed.
Yeah.
And, oh, man, a bunch more matches to be announced here in the coming weeks. So it's going to be awesome. But, hey, until next time, coming to you from sunny Jacksonville, Florida, this has been SHW.
This is our wrestling.